Hi everyone, my name is Laura and welcome to Book Bubbler. I have some new people who subscribed. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And thanks for sticking around to everyone who has been here for a little while too. Today's Friday reads will hopefully be short, like actually short. I finished 3 books this week. One of them is for the Booktube Prize, so I'll be talking about that probably on Tuesday in a video where I reveal how I voted. I still have 1 book left to read, so I have a whole, I think, 36 hours to read that book. I can do what I think. Excuse me. So, of the 2 that I can talk about, actually, let me do this first. I had 1 book come into my house the last week, and that was the Paperback Swap. That's book swapping site, obviously. That's the 4th in the Dresden Files series, Summer Night. I've only read the first, but really liked it, so I'm slowly trying to accumulate the rest of the series as they show up, as I find them. They're really hard to find used. Okay, so back to the 2 books that I finished this week. The first one is The Invisible Library by Genevieve Cogman. This is the start of is this fantasy series? Or, it's not steampunk. It's got to be fantasy. Anyways, genre escapes me a lot of the time, as you can probably tell. So Irene is a librarian with a capital L. She works for the library, again, capital L. The library exists beyond time and dimensions and is enormously massive. No one's ever been outside of it unless they are traveling to a different world. A different world can be a different time in history, a different place in the universe. The technology varies for each world. So Irene, who seems to be, so far at least in this first book, just a regular human being, just happens to be a librarian. She and her new partner, Kai, who she gets saddled with at the beginning, they get sent to investigate a world to retrieve a book by the Brothers Grimm that has a story that only exists in that universe. The library collects every possible version of well-known books, the books that will affect history at least. They have to go retrieve them. Very often, it's like you go to the new world, you talk to the librarian who is in residence there, they give you a new ID or the clothing or whatever, give you a briefing on what the world is like. You go find the book where it is to steal it, go back to the library there, and then jump through the door to go back to the actual big library. That's how the process is supposed to work. She and her new partner, Kai, get sent to a world that's a lot of chaos. There are fairies and some supernatural power is going on to a certain extent. So they're sent to find this, I apologize. They're sent to find this version of Grimm's stories, and a whole bunch of crap happens. The guy who owns it gets murdered, so the cops are involved. Then a apparent cat burglar steals it. The fairies want it just because other people want it too. Oh my gosh, there are dirigibles, there are spells. Someone gets, I think, flensed, is that what it is, when someone gets their skin removed? It's a lot of adventure and craziness. It was really fun. It kept me company when I had nightmares and couldn't sleep, thanks to my Booktube Prize reading. But this was really, I know, I had a really good time reading this book. I gave it 4 stars. I hope you guys have read this one too. If not, I hope you go check it out. I'm not doing a very good job describing the magic system, I realize, but I finished this several days ago, so my brain is a little fuzzy, but I really enjoyed it. It was really a lot of fun, and I look forward to reading the second book in the series, hopefully sometime soon. The second book that I read and finished is The Garden of Small Beginnings by Abbi Waxman. This is standalone fiction. This came out, I believe, 5 or 6 years ago. Not that it matters too much, 2017. So in this book, we follow Lillian, who is a widower of a few years. She has 2 small girls who are pretty rambunctious and crazy. She's got a sister who is very loving and caring and super supportive. Her mom is kind of less supportive, but you know, that's all right. So Lillian works as an illustrator for a textbook company, and she gets the assignment to work on a garden guide for a publishing house, I believe. boutique vegetable guide. Excuse me very much. So she gets sent to a weekend gardening class that's put on by this company who is paying for her to do this job. So she meets this group of sort of ragtag newbie gardeners, and they become friends and learn about each other's lives. They help each other out. Lillian starts to process the death of her husband, which was really tragic. She starts to work on that some more. She sort of finds love. You know, everyone is really realistic. There's a little swearing in here, so if you can't handle a little swearing, you know, just a heads up. But I really, really enjoyed this. This was like a breath of fresh air after reading some really depressing stuff. And it just went down like a cool glass of lemonade on a hot summer's day. It was really delightful, and I really look forward to reading more of Abbi's work in the future. So, wonderful. Oh, like 4.5 stars, I think. Probably the extra half is because it was getting me through the days of reading really, really depressing stuff. So, what's ahead for me this week? Finishing Booktube Prize stuff, like I said. I have 36 hours, I think, from now to finish a whole book. I'm not going to lie. It's going to be a lot of binge reading. So once that is done, I am treating myself to several things. I try to use bribery to get myself to do things on time, sometimes not always successful. In this case, it hasn't been terribly successful so far. So I'm just going to be starting the Diary of a Provincial Lady by E.M. Delafield. That's one of my bribes. I'll be starting The Mercies by Karen Millwood Hargrave. That's another bribe. I'm going to be reading the last/latest, hopefully not last, of Flavia DeLuce books. I thought I would start it and I didn't yet, so I'll be doing that. Watching a little Witcher, of course. Finishing watching The Great, which I'm really enjoying. Has a lot of vibes of Marie Antoinette, the movie with Kristen Dunst and by Sofia Coppola, which I really like that movie. Yeah, that's kind of it. I know for the next round of the Booktube Prize, I will be in fiction. This time I'm in nonfiction. Next time I'll be in fiction. So I look forward to seeing how everyone voted, what gets knocked off, what moves forward, and then seeing what I'll be reading in the future too. So a whole lot of not much happening, I suppose, but that's all right. I am going to start working next week, which is also a little exciting, a little nerve-wracking, a little exciting too. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. So that's been my week. How has yours been? Have you read anything wonderful? Have you read either of the 2 books that I talked about? Let me know. Let's have a little chat in the comments. And I hope you're all staying safe, reading something really wonderful, and I will see you very soon in the next one. Bye, guys.